Well, the first connection was really between biological polymers, the things that make up our body, DNA and proteins. They're very much like a computer program or a computer set of data. Zeros and ones turn into A's, G's, and T's. And that, once you see it, is such an obvious mapping that it seems very profound. And it's as if somebody's been programming all this for a long time and has done a really nice job of it. And you want to look at it and appreciate it the way you would appreciate any work of art or design. So yeah, so I think then it turns into a three-dimensional structure. So you have this simple binary or simple digital stream of A's, G's, and T's, and it turns into this folded molecule. And that's what we were doing in crystallography, is looking at the three-dimensional structure. And that was an interesting metamorphosis. Well, you can think of crystallography as kind of a way of taking pictures of very, very small things. It's smaller than you get with a microscope, smaller than you get with an electron microscope, typically, at least back then. And but it's more complicated because instead of just taking a picture, you make this diffraction pattern, then you have to use a computer to grope it back to something that's more like a three-dimensional image that humans think about, and is actually the reality of the and it gives you the atomic positions of every piece of the molecule. And so we were really pushing the envelope back there in the mid-70s by studying what's now called macromolecules, or the proteins and nucleic acids of life, rather than what had been, so you do X-ray diffraction on salt crystals, like table salt. This was much, much larger molecules that we were dealing with. When we saw the first, and by we, a large community, saw the first examples of folded nucleic acids, it really started to a series of events that, it's like Watson and Crick saw the first DNA folding, we saw the folding of a transfer RNA. And it said that the code for going from the simple digital molecular description, its name basically, its sentence structure, to this folded molecule was something that you could do in the computer. And you could either solve it theoretically or you could solve it by X-ray diffraction. And I think that knowing the parts, the shape of the parts that make up our body, it would be like trying to work on an engine without not being able to know what it looks like or what it feels like. In other words, even a blind person knows the shape of the parts of a car, and we didn't know the shape of anything that we were made out of. So that's now changed radically. We know the shape of most of our parts. So from that point, it seemed reasonable that the kind of computing and automation that was used in crystallography in the mid-70s could be applied to the rest of biology. And so I restarted graduate school with Wally Gilbert, who a few years later got the Nobel Prize in Chemistry for doing the first kind of really reasonable sequencing method that could be scaled for DNA. And we started dreaming about ways that you could automate the process of collecting the sequence data, meaning the order of A's, G's, and T's for DNA, and quantitating how that plays out in terms of the amounts of proteins and other products of the DNA in your body and in various cells. And so that automation of analyzing the DNA and the RNA and the proteins then transitioned more recently to synthesis, so automating the process of synthesis, where you would take what you learned analytically and turn it into sort of nanoscale sculpturing, making machines where now you know the parts, now you can put parts together in new and interesting and useful configurations. So I think that what I see is sort of the spark that happened in the mid-70s played out into automation and computer analysis and kind of this very intellectual task of figuring out how it all folds up, how it fits together, and how to make it useful, making a biotechnological companies and of a shared academic experience. Our top priorities right now are genomics, in particular personal genomics, making it affordable for the average person to have as much knowledge of their body as we can provide them. And behind that is some basic technology to make the instruments and the what we call wetware, software, hardware freely available, open source. I think something very simple that everybody can do is they can participate in medical research as subjects. The Personal Genome Project, for example, will take on as many subjects as we can find.